Hey guys, Dustin Von Warncke here with Texas Fish and Game Magazine and the Texas Outdoor Nation, the voice of the Texas Outdoor Nation. Really excited to have the opportunity to be with you guys again for this ICAST special edition of the Best of the Outdoors podcast. I will start it like I normally do with my normal opener, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. We called this live stream when we taped it live stream Total Chaos, because that's pretty much what it was. Chester Moore, Gonzales, obviously both writers, editors, and columnists for the magazine, and then myself, contributing editor and feature article writer for the magazine, and just really had a good time on this podcast. Very spirited discussion about what we saw at ICAST, the fishing trade show that we do here in Florida every summer, and just bringing you some coverage on that and just some fun-spirited talk about the outdoors and everything that we're doing. Cal has been here since Tuesday of this week, and this is going to be releasing Thursday night, Friday morning, your time, and basically this is just a lot of fun. Cal's been a columnist for us for several years. He's gone through a lot of health problems and stuff, and has kind of, triumphed victorious over a lot of that stuff, and he's just got a great message and a great story, and I'm happy to have him. It's his first time on the show. Didn't know how this would go, but he really said after the podcast was over that he really enjoyed this, and was really happy to have the opportunity to connect with you guys, the listeners. So anyway, please head over to fishgame.com. We're going to have blogs and all kinds of coverage from ICAST. Our Facebook page is really where the hot button of activity is happening right now, and that is fishgame.com. I'm sorry, Texas Facebook, and there's just keyword search Texas Fish and Game, and we'll come up and you'll see all the live feeds and live streams that Chester has been doing. One thing I do want to apologize, that I've been filming Chester do some stuff, and then he's been doing his own thing, walking around the show for us because I've got meetings with advertisers. But the cool thing about what we were trying to do today was live stream. I accidentally live streamed under my own profile, my own personal profile, not the Texas Fish and Game profile. So I feel like a dummy there. But anyway, it all worked out, and we were able to share that post. And you can see the live podcast as it happened. The sound quality is a little bit better with this microphone inside of the actual podcast itself that you're listening to here. But we also had this live streamed at our Facebook page. Just keyword search Texas Fish and Game if you haven't done so already. Lots of other live streams, especially Chester's conversation with the Florida bass. That was one of the best. It's one of the highlights of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, reading, and listening. Here's our show. From deep in the heart of Orlando, Florida, it's the Best of the Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Texas Fish and Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas Outdoor Nation. I'm your humble host, Dustin Von Warncke, joined here by Cal Gonzales and Chester Moore. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Did you say Von Erich?
No.
Like the Von Erich? Did he say Von Erich?
No, he didn't say Von Erich.
I thought he said Von Erich.
He said Dustin. I thought you meant Dustin Rhodes. What is this?
And already the train is delayed.
Look good at gold dust.
Look. First you post-date the check, and then you tell me it's Dustin, and where's the gold makeup?
I don't. It's not working for me. But
all right.
We are actually an outdoors publication, and we've been at the ICAST show. So Dustin, roll with it, buddy.
All right, man. So we've noticing some stuff in the outdoor industry and the fishing industry right now that is, of interest, things that caught our eye, just like we did with the show yesterday. And what did you guys see first?
Well, you want to take this first?
Go with it, buddy.
All right. I'm going to make a little confession. I have always been a little bit wary of kayaks.
Okay.
I've been very paranoid about it, especially because I've been so sick for so long. And now I'm healthy, but one of the booths I was asked to go check in on dealt with kayaks. And I could safely say I'm beginning to be a convert. The advancements in the technologies of kayaks, the features that modern kayaks have,
yes,
are quite frankly, they're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They are the equivalent, I'd say, in stability and fishability of a good John boat.
Yeah, I was actually at Hobie right before we walked out of the show, and I always go by their booth every year. And I'm not a kayaker, but looking at the technology that's available now, and the stability thing, and the test they put them through, it's pretty incredible. And one thing's for sure, kayaks aren't a trend; they're here to stay.
No, they are here to stay, and they are really an affordable and effective medium for anglers who cannot afford a boat to get on the water
Yes.
and locate fish and enjoy a more enhanced fishing experience than they might get otherwise.
Yep, absolutely.
We talked about that last night on and we didn't tell you this, Cal, but we talked about this last night on the show that Chester and I did. It's making it more accessible to people that want to get out on the water but don't have a huge budget. Yeah. That's the whole thing I was saying.
Not only that, but they can actually access areas that even the best shallow running boats can't.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
there is that advantage for sure. You know,
I ran into one company today called Bikayak, BIKAC. You know what I'm saying, Bikayak, like kayak but with a BI.
Yes.
Okay. BIYAK. Okay, I'm doing it right. Sorry, it's been a long day. So basically, they have probably the most stable platform of a SUP board, but two long boards that basically are connected on the top with like a flat board. Okay, so two long flotation, parts with the top. I don't know what the right technological terms are on that, but it was really stable. I mean, I was just like, wow, this is something I could really fish with, and not worry about tumping over, very easily.
When I was a kid, if you wanted a flat board, you had to like glue a couple of pieces of plywood together and stand out there on it. Maybe paint it camo for effect. And nowadays, you got stuff that actually is professionally precision made for those for us poor boys who actually go out there and don't want to remortgage the house to buy a boat.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't need a house payment to be able to get on the water.
Right.
And my wife thought it was ridiculous because she had been talking to me. She goes, "We need to go to these kayak booths," and I said, "I don't want to go." And she goes, "Look, you got to diversify." And I was like, "I don't want to diversify. I want to be set in my ways."
That's right.
She made me go, and I was really impressed. And in the span of maybe 15 minutes, I went from being skeptical to being excited about kayaks.
Well, I've said it before. It's not your grandfather's kayak anymore.
No,
I
you're
mean,
right.
The innovation and the stability, making them wider, making them more stable and everything like that, making them thinner, like Diablo, for instance. They make a thinner, wider kayak. That's the kind of trend I like to see because you can use it as not only a kayak but possibly a SUP board, but you want to stand up and fish, and I like to stand up and fish.
Yeah,
so,
that's exactly right.
One of the last appointments I had today was with P-Line. And I always call myself kind of a line snob.
Yeah.
Because I'm really into, I think people overlook how important all the different kind of lines you can use as different tools.
That's exactly right.
And they have a grand, it's called it's a Grand Slam. I think it's the Gulf Coast or Gulf Slam, something like that. It's from P-Line, but it's a fluorocarbon. And one thing I have noticed is every line company I've approached, they've always had fluorocarbons, but now that's the first thing they want to show me this year.
Yes.
Everybody wanted to pump out a fluorocarbon.
Everyone's very excited about fluorocarbons.
Yeah.
And the diversity of the different brands of fluorocarbon. You have them from Trilene, you have them from Stren, you have them from P-Line.
Yeah.
You have them all over. And they are very excited about it. And one of the reasons is that the technology has come to the point where fluorocarbon is beginning to develop the same soft qualities of a good monofilament.
Yeah, because the first fluorocarbon I fished back in the late 90s, it was like the old Weir cable out there.
Yes, and they were a terror to tie in knots.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't very sensitive. I mean, for something with so little stretch, they were just it was dead. It was very dead in feel.
Yeah.
But these days, there's a lot more forgiving fluorocarbons out there. They sell the sensitivity of the lines.
Sure.
You can actually fit more fluorocarbon onto your reel. It used to be that if you had, say, a Shimano Stratic 2500 that normally carried, say, 140 yards of 10-pound test line of typical monofilament, you could only fit maybe 90 to 100 yards of similar weight fluorocarbon because the diameter was so thick. But now it's closer to monofilament, but it still has the abrasion-resistant qualities.
That's really the key.
Yeah.
That's what everybody is pumping abrasion resistance.
Yes,
right.
And I use fluorocarbon typically when I go into a situation of clear water because it's got the same refractive properties as water, basically.
Yes.
And but being able to, if you're fishing over shell in that kind of area, fluorocarbon might be something you want to do if you don't go to a braid.
That's exactly right, because even braid, all it takes is one little nick of a shell on braided line, and you lose the whole facility.
Oh, yeah. No, I've heard of many of that. Yeah, that's happened to me too, yeah.
In fact, I know a lot of surf fishermen these days, at least down on South Padre Island, are using more and more fluorocarbon when they make their long casts, because braid will slide along the sandbar and eventually fail, whereas a very good fluorocarbon will resist that abrasion.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's really good. There's a wide variety of different things. One of the things I didn't mention last night was Arctic Ice, which is these ice replacement packs. We have a deal going on fishgame.com right now, Staying Cool on Outdoor Adventures, Chester and I worked on.
Yep.
And ice replacement, the thing that's a complement to ice replacement packs like that are durable. I've dropped mine a few times, haven't had any major issues. The thing that's really nice is an extreme cooler, and one of the companies that's worked with us and sponsored one of these podcasts we've done is Frio Coolers, and they've got the extreme hard side, soft side coolers. They have a Texas soft side vault that I love, and I got to go by and visit with them this week, and it was just great to see them and catch up with everything. It's just one of the things where they're starting to diversify into clothing and all kinds of different, other things that are all about the Texas outdoor lifestyle, because they're a Texas-based company.
Well, you brought up an interesting word there, diversifying.
Yes.
It seems that a lot of the companies this year are showing greater diversity than they used to.
And it's really interesting, and this is probably way off the path, but I find it greatly interesting. But we thought it was diversity when you just kind of had women getting involved.
Yeah,
right.
I love the fact I'm seeing African Americans more as pro fishermen here.
Yeah, Ish Monroe,
and some guys on FLW and stuff
Tarika
like that.
Whitty,
a lot more
she's a
women
buddy of
professional
mine.
fishermen.
Yes.
Some Asian fishermen. So I think it's great now that we're seeing more of an even playing field out there, because fishing's for anybody.
Yes, you're right.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Fishing is one of the most proletarian sports you can find.
It's a
because
big word for this podcast.
there you go.
He's a teacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your word for the day.
Okay,
Proletarian.
Kayfabe,
Right. I've
that's
never,
the word.
never heard
We'll
that
talk
one.
about
There's a lot of chances for this equality. It's very much like soccer. Soccer, all you needed was a ball, and you can play the game with your friends. Fishing is the same way. You do not need a fancy rod and reel and $200 worth of lures in order to fish. You can grab kite string, bend a pin, grab a grasshopper, and you can fish just about anywhere. An irrigation ditch is a good spot. It can catch fish.
Dude, that was funny. I was going by a spot, and there's a sewage ditch. It still pumps out raw sewage.
Oh my goodness!
In an area, and there's a Sabine River a half mile away down the same road.
Oh my goodness!
There's a family with bobbers fishing the sewage ditch.
Oh my God!
Wow!
And I wanted to stop and go. The Sabine River is like literally
just a little way
half a mile that way. There's a pier over there. They're in the sewage ditch, so
it's clean water.
There's a sewage ditch in the open sea. Fishing has an equality for everyone.
Well, exactly. Well, let me tell you, I've seen YouTube videos on this, that in the roadside bar ditches here in Orlando and in Miami and every place, they can actually catch exotics.
Wow.
There was a video of a guy, and he was catching Mayan cichlids out of a bar ditch.
I'd have been in trouble. I thought like a grinnell was a trophy fish as a kid. If I was catching Mayan cichlids and peacock bass in the ditch, I would have moved into the ditch.
Right? Never left. Chester, it's time to come home.
No,
I am home, mother.
I am home. I live here.
This is it for me. Yeah. That's great.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, seeing some of the things they were catching, he actually caught an Amazon catfish. One of the ones that looked like they were created by Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And it weighed at least 30 pounds.
That's epic.
Oh my goodness! They put it in a cooler. They took it to their pond in front of his apartment complex and dumped it in there. And who knows how big that thing is by now, because it's got all those tilapia and whatever else is in that pond to eat.
That's crazy.
Fifi the poodle goes for a drink.
Yeah, right. Fifi, where are you?
All of a sudden, the dog
you just
goes
see a
missing.
tail that wide.
Yeah, right. It's gone. It just disappears underwater.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
I'm gonna design a poodle lure, named it Fifi, a topwater.
There you go. The tail is like a propeller.
It's no different than these wood duck lures that we've seen.
I know, yeah.
Or the rat lures.
The rat lures, yeah.
There was one at the New Tackle Showcase. I swear to God, it was big enough to be a baby possum.
Oh my! Well, and yeah, the big long plugs and stuff we've been seeing for topwater and stuff.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been crazy, man.
Yeah.
One thing that I'll never forget, and this is one of my old time stories, my dad and I were fishing. I was learning how to side cast and kind of flip stuff out there, and I caught him in the back with a 2-prong topwater mouse that had this two right in the back, and man, and we still tell that story and laugh about it. It wasn't funny when it happened.
No.
But anyway, I just thought that was funny.
As it said in the title, total chaos.
There you go.
Who knows where we're gonna go?
There
Mouse
you go.
lures are still on the market, I guess.
Mouse lures and Amazonian catfish in the ditch.
How many of you remember Hedden making that that lure that looked like a blackbird?
I do.
I remember. I had one.
But Aaron Martins won a tournament. I think it was 2 years ago in Arizona, fishing the bird pattern because the birds were nesting under the bridge.
Yeah.
And the babies, a lot of babies were getting dumped over in the water. And he had something with feathers or some kind of a soft jig he was fishing. So Hedden may have been ahead of the time. We don't know.
Yeah. Are you telling me that Aaron Martins gave those bass the bird?
I think he did.
Oh my goodness.
My God.
Stone cold Aaron Martins.
Well, that all being said, y'all realize under the Congress Bridge on Lady Bird Lake, in my part of Texas, in Austin,
The bats.
The bat pattern.
the bat, but the bat patterns. So I'm just sitting there going, well, why don't we just make like how am I saying this? Bird turd?
Yeah.
Like
Bat
patterns, bat turd, or bird
Guano,
turds.
right?
Yeah, guano. Yes.
Guano.
Anyway.
So I told you this is epic chaos. We don't know what we're talking about.
It gives a whole new meaning to dough ball. More like do ball.
That's too funny.
I'm sorry, I had to say that one. I'm bad.
So you want to get this back on track,
All
Dustin?
right, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm supposed to be the host of this program, but I don't know.
Good luck.
Good.
You got a drama king and our other radio host. You're in trouble.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Y'all are.
Don't push it. I'll give you my Mad Dog Vachon
Just like
invitation.
yesterday, just like the last show, this is the podcast takeover here again. So, anyway, but what else did you guys see?
Well, one of the things, I was at Costa today, and it was not necessarily what I saw in terms of like the product that went, oh, that's awesome, because it was a great product, but it's the putting your money where your mouth is thing. They are, of course, doing the Kick the Plastics campaign.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's incredible that and they actually have fishing guides on a program where they're committing to not using plastic water bottles and stuff like that. And they've actually know that they've been able to trace more than 1 million plastic water bottles that haven't been used.
Yeah. Well,
Whoa.
How many of you have seen, and I know it's made its circulation both on Facebook and on YouTube, how many of you have seen that litter pile, that litter mat that is in the far east Pacific, that is larger than the size than the state of Texas?
Holy smokes.
You know, I mean, the first time I saw that, it gave me pause.
It's heartbreaking.
Sure.
You know, I mean, because the amount of devastation, the amount of damage, the amount of irreparable harm being done to our ocean.
Yep.
You know.
Right.
You know, it's interesting you say that because irreparable, because the plastic's not going anywhere.
No, it doesn't. It's going to be there 1,000, 1,000,000 years from now.
You know, if you look at, they also have a program where they actually have the frames made out of recycled fishing nets.
That yes,
That are coming
we've seen
from
that.
Chile, and it's incredible what they're doing here. So I salute Costa for the commitment to that.
It's laudable. You're right. It's very laudable.
And what I like about it is, you know, we are for an outdoors publication, and I've had people say things like, because I'm radical enough to get ready for this, clean water.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, yes.
And stuff
really
like that. So not
there.
getting too political here, but I will say this: you know, most outdoorsmen tend to be right politically, that kind of stuff. But I will say this: clean environment is not a right or a left issue.
No,
it's
it shouldn't be.
It's a human
issue.
So somebody said, why are you so much, writing so much about the PCBs in Galveston Bay? I said, MD Anderson Cancer Hospital.
Yeah,
That's my case.
That's why.
So that's our little thing, but I'm glad that there's a company out there that's doing something like that. And you see other companies that may not be involved in necessarily environmental in terms of habitat, but they're certainly promoting conservation of specific species.
They're going to begin. They have to follow suit. They have to follow suit. I remember if you've been ever reading my column, you've heard about Larry Corbett.
Oh yeah.
He and I were fishing one time, and I caught my first legit taggable redfish ever. And so we tagged him. He was just only 29 inches, but I tagged it. we took it home, and Larry was filleting it, and he calls me over here in that big growly biker voice. Hey, Cal, come on over here. And so I come over, and he shows me that this redfish's gut had not one, not two, but 3 4-inch cocoa plastic minnows in his gut.
Wow.
That he had eaten, and wow. He goes, look at that. You want to know why I use gulp? That's why I use gulp.
Yeah.
And it had never occurred to me that the soft plastics that you might tear off your jig head and throw away and throw them overboard because you don't want to mess up your boat get eaten by these fish, and they never get digested.
Yeah,
sure.
So that's a great anecdotal story on that because I'm sure a lot of people have encountered different things like that. I've seen fish with monofilament wrapped around them.
I've seen turtles with it. I caught a trout one time that had a 6-pack holder stuck on his head like a gill net.
Oh my God.
And it had been on him for a while because he had grown around
it.
It was, and I couldn't believe the durability of that trout to be able to survive like that.
Yeah.
But I was also a little bit embarrassed that someone would just throw it overboard and not think twice about it.
Yeah. So our industry is taking a response to this and doing some things that are really good. There's a conservation aisle area, and you got everybody. I've been talking to the National Marine Sanctuaries people, different fish and game departments down there. So that's really, really good stuff.
Yes.
Now, Dustin, asking you, since your show, is there anything, because a lot of times a host with other guests don't get to really talk what they want to talk about. So, especially since you have me and Cal on here. So is there anything at the show that surprised you?
Back to products real quick.
Yeah.
This one particular thing from iBobber, which they have the Netfish app, which if you check out, it's kind of like a fishing social media app. And they ran some advertising with us digitally last summer. And basically, I'm reviewing this iBobber Bluetooth scale. And what it basically does is basically measures your length and your weight and transforms that information from your scale to the app, the iBobber app on your phone. And that's kind of cool because it's one of those things that nobody's really done that well at, I don't think, as far as bringing you something. You get your date, timestamp, so on and so forth, when you caught that fish, the size, the length, so on and so forth. So I think it's kind of a cool thing. And it all runs on Bluetooth, which is all the rage these days too. So there's that, and just this overall, I guess I have the overall mindset that fishing is alive and well, and I always have that thought, wherever I go to SHOT Show or NRA or any of these other ones where we do these special podcasts, where I'm like, okay, is there the future for this? But to see as many young people as we see at the show, to see as many different ethnicities, like we said before, Asian, black, white, so on and so forth, it's really encouraging.
So. Well, Texas Fish and Game was the first magazine to put college bass fishermen teams on the cover.
That's exactly
right. We're
right.
the first one, at least in Texas, to deeply cover high school bass fishing.
Yes.
So there's a lot of commitment to youth here at Texas Fish and Game, and there's a lot of commitment to youth growing in the industry. Because what I've seen is a lot of lip service in the past of let's take kids fishing for a day, which is a nice gesture, but they're figuring out that hasn't worked.
Yeah.
We're going to have a continued program.
Sustainability.
Get the families involved.
Well,
right.
I was listening to one of the Lindners, one of the many Lindners at the Daiwa press conference talking about how Minnesota has a deeply ingrained fishing program in all of its high schools. And they are, it's just like the old adage, teach a man to fish, he can feed for a lifetime. They are teaching these children not just to fish, but to fish well, and to have knowledge about the techniques, to have knowledge about the applications. And he was amazed at how sophisticated some of these young anglers have become.
Yeah.
And I think it's indeed a tragedy that the state of Texas, and there are a lot of school districts in this state with a lot of financial resources that are more obsessed with building up their surplus, literally into the hundreds of millions of dollars. And they are reluctant to throw a little bit of money because it wouldn't cost much to start a program like that. They are unwilling to put a little bit of money towards starting an angling program to teach, and it's not just to teach them how to fish. It's to teach these young men and women a different way to spend their time.
Yes.
And a healthy outdoor lifestyle.
Yes.
Exercise by just simply going outside.
To become stewards of their environment.
Right.
Exactly, because who is the first person that's going to want clean water? Someone who harvests fish from water.
The fishermen.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if they're catch and release, they're going to want to preserve the resources.
Exactly. So I think it's one of those things. But unfortunately, in our state, as much as I love it and I love sports, that if it doesn't involve a ball,
Exactly.
typically it doesn't get funded as much. So that is one of the problems. So if it doesn't involve a ball, I remember being in journalism class, we wanted to use the van to go to a UIL competition, but there wasn't funds for us to get the gas to use the van. But the football team had a $60,000 shoe budget that year.
Right.
So this is what it goes back to. And yes, we are ranting because it's our podcast and that's what we can do. Or his podcast. And we're ranting on his podcast and causing major chaos.
Yes, that's true.
But the point is, fishing is a great thing. And the high school fishing thing, but that's kind of independent because it's not being done through like UIL or one of those kind of things.
Exactly.
So I think it's kind of the Wild West, which is good because there's still people autonomous and be able to make their own decisions and those kind of things out there. But it's funding of, and there are numerous people I talked to today who have conservation fishing programs, curriculum for schools.
Yes, there are essential knowledge and skill lesson plans out there for a fishing program through what is ubiquitously called the vocational program in each school.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how the University Interscholastic League can sanction cheerleading. They've started sanctioning cheerleading.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking on cheerleading. Don't write me and tell me that I don't understand the importance of cheerleading.
Cal said it, folks, not me.
But I don't understand how they can sanction such events and not sanction an event such as fishing.
Yeah, that's a great point, and so if we went to, let's think about ICAST, let's think about the idea of a quality curriculum for kids. Dustin, if you were picking the first item a kid should know about in a fishing curriculum, what would you think should be front and center?
Could I say water safety? Would that be important?
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't,
It's your podcast.
I know, but it wasn't a trick question or anything. All right. Because, man, that's what this whole show has been about, is because I know we have some younger listeners out there, and the thing that's close to my heart is the outdoor lifestyle and just everything that we are about with the Texas Fishing Game message that we get out, and that's something that I want our youth to pick up and be entertained by and motivated by and have hope with. So,
what about you, Cal?
I agree. Water safety, and more importantly, the responsible use of your fishing tackle.
Yep.
You can only pick one, Cal.
You can only pick one.
Well, I'm Cal.
All right.
I can pick two.
That's right. You can pick two. Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
what you pick three then.
That's right.
There you go. You're the boss.
Dustin just got one.
All right. So, no, actually, mine, of course, would be wildlife identification.
Right.
Yes.
And also understanding the aquatic environment.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, I was talking with my friend Rick Klun, which freaks me out that I can say that. Rick Klun.
Name dropper.
Yes, I am.
Name dropper.
You drop more names of wrestlers than anybody I know.
Me?
Yeah. All right, so I'll throw Rick Klun out there. I just talked to him on the way out.
That's right.
He said one time, what's happening is the young anglers coming up are incredible in the technological part.
Yes.
But they're missing instinct. Because now they can run a bunch of GPS numbers until they find a spot.
Yeah.
But they don't know might not understand that moment when that temperature drops just a little bit. That means the barometric pressure or whatever's changing and something's going on in the and you go, hey, when that happens, the fish move out here.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Boom.
but I tell you this, so if you can create a program where they know how to be safe, they know how to be good stewards, and they understand what they're catching, why the fish are there. You have a complete fisherman, a complete steward. And we'll probably do more for environmental stewardship in Texas schools than all the biology classes and everything combined.
Oh, you're exactly right about that. But again, it all goes back to the willingness and the wherewithal.
The wherewithal.
There you go. That's another word for you, ladies and gentlemen. This program is being brought to you by the letter N and the number 5.
I knew when I introduced you to this microphone, I was just gonna let it.
The rails of the crazy train.
Hey, I'm here all week.
That's right. That's right.
Be sure to tip the waiters.
That's right.
No, but going back to what we were talking about, you have to get a superintendent and a school board that is willing to let it happen.
Yeah.
And most aren't.
No.
Most
No.
aren't.
No.
They look at the dollars and cents of it,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous because a school district in the Rio Grande Valley, the school board voted to sanction the school district buying their own voting machines.
Uh-huh.
You know? So, yes, you want the school district to control the school district elections. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Rather than spending money on something like curriculum.
Yeah.
Of course, they eventually abandoned the idea because everyone didn't like it. But
You gotta sing for your own supper, man. I'm
Yeah.
telling
no
you.
kidding.
That's pretty bad. Dude.
That is.
Well, getting back to the idea of an ICAST or a show where the love of fishing that we're talking
Yes.
about, but we want to translate that out to the public, is alive and well. I got to say this about the fishing industry. The fishing industry in general, there are idiots in everything.
Right.
And there are plenty in the fishing industry too. But for the most part, it's probably the most friendly,
Outgoing.
open, outgoing group of people
And very accepting
I've ever
people.
been around. I've
Right.
ever been around, and it's a salute to these people. So we're seeing the diversity grow. And here's the thing, look, if I'm a company, I'm in business to make money.
Yes.
But I have literally seen companies producing lures and things just to make sure that the average guy can get in on it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always expounded on, and again, it's something to applaud them for. That a lot of these fishing companies want to enhance the fishing experience for the angler by making it easier to enjoy. You know, and I can imagine how many times an angler's out there who has gotten tremendously frustrated trying to just simply cast a line.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
without tangling or backlashing. You know, how many anglers do you know, or how many people out there do you know, ultimately gave up fishing and took up something more banal like golf, rather than have
Doug
to
Pike.
Doug Pike.
rather than figure out how to stop backlashing on a bait cast reel.
That's a great question, and
You know?
Doug, I love you. And you're better. I can't play golf, so I don't play. But Doug writes about golf and all that stuff. And me and Doug actually had a similar discussion about one time about kind of the struggles of that everyday guy trying to get in.
Yeah.
Like how do you get in now? Like, well, if you're older and maybe you didn't grow up fishing, how do you get into that market?
Exactly.
You know, because you go out there and you go to the worst. And I'm gonna go ahead. This is gonna get me in some deep, but I don't care.
All right, here we go.
All right, so if you want to go and you want to get offended in the outdoors industry, you go to an archery shop, okay? Because there
There
are a
it
lot of
goes.
folks on archery shops that aren't the friendliest folks
No.
in the world. A lot of great ones, but a lot of the reason is all the bows are really expensive.
Yes.
And so a guy goes in there, and if he's at entry level, he's going to be shocked at sticker price and may walk out. Doesn't know because bow shops typically don't carry lower end stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
So the fishing side of the things, the great thing is you can go to a Walmart or an Academy or wherever else you want to go and pick up something you can fish with for $25.
Yes.
And
Or even
actually go out
less.
and fish with it.
For under 20 sometimes.
Well, but in the fishing industry, you have the trout snobs. I mean, right?
Yeah, they are.
Don't think Chester
You have
talks
them.
about with
Yeah.
the trout-
I invented that term.
Can I just say that
I invented
Chester
that
talks
term.
about this all the time?
I do
off
talk
air.
about it.
We talked about it.
Me and
We
Cal,
talked about
yeah,
it.
we brought it. God bless the late Don Zeidel for inciting this. But what happens is you got the guys that are the elitists and everything.
Right.
But the
Yes.
great part about fishing, the great equalizer is the fact. That's why I like fishing shows more than hunting shows. Because a lot of hunting shows, you go to another high fence place, you go to a high fence place, they know there are animals there at least.
Yes.
So they know they're there. But
You're
if
exactly
you go
right.
fishing on a lake, the fish, you may be looking at the fish, but he can make a decision, well, I don't want to bite. So there's
Fish
a great
may be looking at
equalizer,
you.
and the
Yep.
same thing is you can take a kid, go back to kids for this is great. You can take a kid that's the outcast,
Yes.
that no one
Exactly.
likes, that doesn't have athletic skill, that's not going to be not going to be the homecoming king or queen or whatever. And this kid might be able to flip a jig like crazy.
Yeah, right into a teacup.
Exactly.
You know?
And then this kid can pick up that rod and reel and have a value in themselves and a skill that they can enjoy. And that's what I love about schools having this, and I
Yes.
love about ICAST having an entire section, 60 and 60 thing we'll talk about probably the next time we do this, all dedicated in how to grow the sport and get more kids involved.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
amazing. It's amazing.
You know, I want to go back to the trout snobs real quick because I want to.
I shouldn't have brought that up.
Please
There we
don't.
go, baby.
I love all of you. Don't write to me. The funniest thing is I remember with one angler I got into a really animated
This is
discussion
good.
This is
about
great.
croaker.
Oh yeah.
No.
Great croaker controversy.
Let's go into another.
let's-
But
not
something
name
you
names.
brought up that you can go to the water
Yeah.
and the fish might be there, but they're still not going to bite.
Yeah, yeah.
And I made that point. You know, croaker doesn't mean that the trout just surrender.
No.
You know, they have to be actively feeding in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, I hate croaker, and you'll never see me use croaker. I go, okay, that's fine. God bless you. So what does Live Target come out with this year? They come out with a croaker swim bait, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to buy 100 of them. And just hand them out the next time I go to Padre Island.
Now the question is,
I'm waiting for this.
This is the deep question. If it works, are they going to want to ban it?
They wanted to ban gulp at one point. I know a couple of captains who wanted to ban gulp.
All right.
If it works, they will ban it.
Can I just say, does that still make you a croaker soaker?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
No, this is great. So a friend of mine who worked in the fishing industry in Minnesota, like in the 70s.
Yes. He wanted croaker banned too?
No, he had a great story. So his friend of his had some kind of one of these gimmick fishing things you'd advertise in the back of a wrestling mag or a comic book.
I bought those.
So he had a representative in the House of Minnesota introduce a bill to ban it so it would sell.
Oh,
Bravo.
oh man.
Story.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's how the helicopter lure became a rage.
So you got all these crazy gimmicks and all this stuff. This is, I'm not talking about something you buy at a tackle store. I'm talking about the back of a comic next to the X-ray glasses.
Exactly.
But it gets funny. But the great thing is now, me and our boss, Artie and Eves, were walking around earlier. She's sitting on the other side of the camera right now, hoping that we don't drag her into the camera. We were talking about how like most of the gear today is good. It's not like you're going from a booth and looking at crap gear and you're looking at midway gear and good gear. Mm-hmm. Most of it's good.
It's very high quality.
And most of it's going on whatever level you're interested or can afford to fish.
Right.
Exactly.
Because I remember before buying some cheaper stuff before they sent me free stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm the only outdoor writer that will tell you I do get free stuff, and I'm open about that. That we get free stuff sent to test us.
Yes.
And I remember when I used to have to buy like the 1995 rods. Sometimes you'd miss. But nowadays, even some of those rods at the bigger retailers
are very good.
Are really
They're
good
very
stuff.
effective.
So that's great. So all those of you listening out there who don't have a lot of money, and you read Cal's saltwater column, or you see my stuff, or whatever's going on, you listen to Dustin's podcast, don't think because we're at Texas Fish and Game and the greatest outdoor publication in Texas, of course.
And Texas is the
Always.
world.
Yeah, the Texas Outdoor Nation.
Texas is
don't
everything,
think that
sorry.
you can't have just as good of an outdoor fishing or whatever you want to do as any of us, because
Perhaps even better.
right, you may be way better than us. I have skill because I developed it. I wasn't natural.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm a good fisherman is because I know about the environment that I fish in. I can understand changes in it. Some guys have no idea about that, but they know every mechanical thing that makes it work, and that's what makes us all work. So if you come to a show like this, they're trying to preserve the environment, but they're trying to put tools in your hands that allow you to be excellent fishermen. And they even had Thor's hammer, by the way.
Oh, really?
You see Thor's hammer. There was a rock with Thor's hammer in it, and I wasn't worthy though. I tried to pull it out. So they got.
What are you talking about?
They had
Chester?
Thor's hammer.
They had Thor's hammer.
I'm not lying.
Had Thor's hammer.
It's actually in a booth today.
Well, then you guys aren't going to
Definitely
see me
us.
much after tomorrow because I know I'm worthy.
There he goes.
You're gonna see
There
Cal.
he goes.
You're gonna see Cal in leotards
With wings on my helmet.
with long blonde hair and wings on his helmet, wielding a hammer. Just call me Loki. And,
I'll sing
Call me-
Carmina Burana just for
Call
you.
me crazy or call me Loki.
Okay.
Yeah.
please.
Not right now. I'll give you a yo-ho. Yo-ho!
Okay.
I can do Mad Dog Vachon.
Okay.
I'm going to bat off your nose.
Oh boy. And we're off the rails again.
Chaos, ladies and gentlemen.
That's-
It's the way to
That's the
go.
way to go for our Facebook Live simulcast.
It's fun
here.
stuff, though.
So,
But look, we're all brothers.
Yes.
From Texas, we're all brothers having a good time
Yep.
and talking about the fishing show. We all feel blessed, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, very much
We
so.
get to work for Texas Fishing Game in an industry that let us come work in it and
Yes.
have a good time, man. We could be doing a lot worse stuff.
Yeah, and it's a tremendous blessing. It really is. The outdoor experience is a healing, curative experience.
It is.
You know how sick I've been the last 2 years.
Yeah, Cal has been very, very, very ill.
And I fought through it.
Yeah, he did.
And one of the reasons I fought through it was that I didn't want to stop fishing, and more importantly, I didn't want to stop writing about it for the readers. I got an email recently from a man who said he reads my column as often as he can.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get some information about how to fish for kingfish off the jetties at South Padre Island. But along the way, he also mentioned how much it meant to him to be able to expose his nephews and his grandchildren to the fishing experience. And
Right.
it struck me at that moment that he was asking me to help him facilitate this for his family.
Yeah.
And I was just finally coming out the other side and coming out of that tunnel I'd been in, that long night that was the last 2 years of my life, and feeling good again. And then I realized that I was still being asked to share my experience and my knowledge. And that moment, you know, it's like what we talked about off camera before about when that wrestler Stan Hansen called me.
Yeah.
It was a very profound moment for me.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
You know, I mean, it meant a great deal. And it took me a while to actually answer him, mainly because I wanted to get the information right for him.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible blessing, and we are truly blessed to be able to do this.
Yeah,
I had a call today. Aria, she handed me the phone that we're going to one of the appointments, and there was a reader that had called, and he wanted to know what issue this article I did about using a spinning rod was in.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, I think it's March or April. I said, I don't remember
Yeah.
which one, March or April, because I have both. I'll check it. Because I'm trying to figure out how to catch a flounder. I've never caught a flounder, and I'm fishing a tournament. I'm fishing from the bank. So I told him, I said, okay, you're not going to see this a lot, but what you need to do, it's summertime, and do you really want to catch a flounder? Or do you want the challenge of catching a flounder?
All right.
I said, I want to catch one, brother.
Yeah,
I
the
said,
heck
"Here
with
we
the
go."
challenge.
So I said, get a Carolina rig and some live shrimp.
Yep.
If you walk along that shoreline, you see a lot of little shad on top of the water, you throw that Carolina rig and drag it, and I promise you, at some point this weekend, you're going to feel a beautiful thump and
Yes.
catch a fish. So that was an incredible experience, and I wasn't even someone who was facing what Cal was facing. So you guys out there lift us even in our darkest times.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yep.
You know, I think I can speak for all of us when I say thank you for that.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
You know, you are the reason we do this. You know,
Absolutely.
you are the reason you do this, and we enjoy it. More than enjoy it, we love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's more. I remember one time my dad asked me, "I don't know how you can fish. I don't know how you can. You have to be so stubborn to fish. I can't do it. I don't have the patience." He goes, and that you can go and you can fish. And what blows me away is that you can keep going even after you don't catch anything.
Right.
The week
Go
before.
back again. Yeah.
He goes, I don't understand how you can do that. And I looked my dad right in the eye. And I'm surprised he didn't realize this about me, because I've been fishing since I was 6 years old in a family that doesn't fish. And I told him, I don't fish because I like it, Dad. I fish because that's who I am.
There you go.
You know?
There you go.
I mean,
I fish, therefore I am.
yeah, there you go.
I'll think of a better way to end the show.
Yeah.
You know, what a way to go out, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Well, thanks for letting us take over your podcast again.
Yeah. Thank you,
It
Dustin.
was a pleasure. This
And
was fun.
don't worry, I am not going to hold the lack of the gold and black makeup against you.
Oh my gosh.
You will always be my gold dust.
Okay, gold dust. I really appreciate you guys all listening and watching us on Facebook. And you know, every time I come to the show, it brings back all the memories that I have had growing up in fishing and just the simple thing that I talked about in the last show, you know, of just getting a little reel and a rod and reel, an ultralight combo, and a you know, can full of night crawlers, you know, and just going out there is what I do with my son all the time, just to show him the simplicity that it doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be, you know, super sexy, it doesn't have to be any of that. It just can be what it is. It just can be enjoyable.
There you go.
That's great. It just can be fishing.
It just can be fishing. There it is. So thank you guys so much for watching, reading, and listening, and have an awesome day in the outdoors.
Bye, guys.